Let's first talk about Maharashtra politics. Hectic parleys in Maharashtra continues over government formation in the state as the single largest party, BJP, has announced that it will not form government as its ally, Shiv Sena, has been adamant over the rotational chief minister's post. The governor, Bhagat Singh Koshihari, has asked Shiv Sena now to indicate the willingness and ability of the party to stake claim. Shiv Sena, the second largest party after the BJP, will have to stake claim before 7:30 p.m. today. After the governor's communication, Sena MLAs held a meeting with party chief Uddhav Thackeray at his residence in Mumbai. Later, talking to reporters, Sanjay Raut said the party will install its chief minister at any cost.
एक बात स्पष्ट कही है कि मुख्यमंत्री आने वाले दिनों में शिवसेना का होगा। मैं कहता हूं, अगर उद्धव जी ने कहा है मुख्यमंत्री शिवसेना का होगा, उसका मतलब है हम किसी भी कीमत पर राज्य को शिवसेना का मुख्यमंत्री।
Meanwhile, amid the continuing power tussle, Shiv Sena Union Minister of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprise Arvind Sawant announced his resignation from the union government. Arvind Sawant is Shiv Sena Lok Sabha MP from South Mumbai.
लोकसभा चुनाव के पहले आप जानते हो कि आदरणीय उद्धव साहब ने गठबंधन टूटने की बात की थी, तो माननीय भारतीय जनता पार्टी के अध्यक्ष आदरणीय उद्धव जी से मिले थे और उनमें एक सामंजस्य हुआ था कि आने वाले विधानसभा चुनाव में 50% सीटों का बंटवारा होगा और जो उसके बाद में परिणाम आएंगे तो जब सरकार बनेगी तो सरकार में मुख्यमंत्री पद के सहित हर पद का 50% बंटवारा होगा। हालांकि इस बात को हमारी भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने नकारा और आज हमारा गठबंधन वहां नहीं रहा और अब नई सरकार बनने जा रही है। ऐसे वातावरण में मैं यहाँ ये कारोबार करूं, ये उचित नहीं लगता, नैतिकता से भी सही नहीं लगता। इसलिए मैंने आज आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी नरेंद्र मोदी जी के पास मेरा इस्तीफा, मेरा त्याग पत्र सौंप दिया है।
And earlier, Bharatiya Janata Party announced that it will not form the government in Maharashtra in view of the ally Shiv Sena stand on the chief minister's post. Maharashtra BJP's core committee members held two meetings on Sunday. Meanwhile, BJP core committee meeting is also underway. Senior leaders are attending the meet. And Congress Working Committee today held a meeting at the interim party president Sonia Gandhi's residence in Delhi over the political situation and the chances of government formation in Maharashtra. Senior Congress leaders including Ahmed Patel, K.C. Venugopal, Mallikarjun Kharge attended this meeting. Later, talking to media, Kharge said that they had a detailed discussion on the prevailing situation in Maharashtra. He said Maharashtra leaders have been called to Delhi for further deliberations. The meeting will be held this evening.
वर्किंग कमेटी की मीटिंग हो गई, उसमें महाराष्ट्र के पॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन के ऊपर डिटेल डिस्कशन हुआ है। फर्दर डिस्कशन के लिए महाराष्ट्र के सभी सीनियर लीडरों को यहाँ बुला रहे हैं और 4 बजे फिर एक बार हम बैठेंगे, मीटिंग होगी और महाराष्ट्र के लीडर को बुलाकर उनकी राय लेके फिर उसका फैसला करेंगे।
And reacting on Shiv Sena MP Arvind Sawant's resignation as Union Minister, NCP Chief Sharad Pawar said that any decision regarding Maharashtra politics will be taken only after discussions with the Congress party. Pawar also held a meeting with NCP leader and Shiv Sena leader Uddhav Thackeray at an undisclosed place in Mumbai. Speaking after NCP's core group meeting on government formation in Maharashtra, party leader Nawab Malik said Congress NCP fought elections together and the decision will be taken together as well. He added that Congress MLAs are in favour of supporting Shiv Sena-led government, but the Congress Working Committee, CWC, is the supreme body to decide on the party's decision.
आज महाराष्ट्र में पर्यायी सरकार बनाने के लिए राष्ट्रवादी कांग्रेस पार्टी के महत्वपूर्ण नेताओं की बैठक हुई। हमने 2 घंटा चर्चा की और हमने प्रतीक्षा की कि कांग्रेस के CWC में क्या निर्णय हो रहा है। हमें जानकारी मिली कि कांग्रेस ने ये निर्णय लिया है कि 4 बजे महाराष्ट्र के जो उनके इम्पोर्टेंट लीडर्स हैं उनके साथ पुनः चर्चा करके वे निर्णय लेने वाले हैं। तब तक हमने अपना निर्णय नहीं किया है। कांग्रेस के निर्णय के बाद हम साथ में बैठेंगे और उसके बाद हमारा निर्णय पर्यायी सरकार बनाने के लिए होगा। जब तक कांग्रेस का निर्णय नहीं होता हमारा कोई निर्णय हम लेने वाले नहीं हैं।
So much of the suspense over government formation in Maharashtra is likely to conclude by this evening, as Shiv Sena has been asked to come and try and stake claim for government formation. The deliberations are still on as to how that government would look like if the Congress NCP would come in support, and we'll deliberate over that in the next few minutes. Our correspondents are joining us from Mumbai and Delhi, and also we have a guest in the studio, Mr. Nitin Mahajan, senior journalist, is joining us now, and Rishi, my colleague, is joining us from Delhi. He was looking after the CWC meeting. And Shishir is joining us from Mumbai. Much of the action is centered in Mumbai. Shishir, what deliberations are going on in the Shiv Sena camp? Now it is their chance to stake claim, form the government, but it has to be done by 7:30 this evening. What is the latest that you can share with us?
As yesterday we've heard that the ball was in Shiv Sena's court, as BJP has said that they don't have the numbers to prove the majority, and that's the reason. Since evening, we have seen here that when the governor have asked Shiv Sena, to show their ability and willingness to prove their stakes and form a government in the Maharashtra. Since then, we have seen here that the meeting, especially in the Shiv Sena camp, has started here. Senior Shiv Sena leader, along with the Uddhav Thackeray, had a meeting yesterday night also and today morning also. And the news which has just come in is that Uddhav Thackeray also met NCP chief Sharad Pawar at an undisclosed location in Mumbai. Now, obviously, this is an important meeting that we can see here, because NCP is quite positive to support Shiv Sena, and that's what the NCP leader Nawab Malik have said, that they are open for any other options to form a government. And that's the reason this meeting is an important one for Maharashtra, especially for Shiv Sena to form a government here, because that's what the NCP stand. NCP has clearly stated that if Shiv Sena wants their support, then the few things that Shiv Sena will have to follow here. First of all, they'll have to come out from the NDA. They'll have to give resignation from the centre's government here, and that's what we have seen here when Arvind Sawant tendered his resignation just today, a few minutes before. He also said, I had a press conference also where he made his stand very clear that he also will not be a part of the NDA. Now the Shiv Sena is not part of the NDA, and that's the reason. That's the first commitment that Shiv Sena has fulfilled of NCP. The second one, obviously, that a proper proposal should come here. Now with the meeting between Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar, even the second commitment also gets fulfilled here. So obviously the things started moving around that both the parties will come together. Now all the eyes set on the Congress, what the Congress takes here.
Eyes are set on the Congress, and
in spite of that, kept his card very.
Right, Shishir, do stay with us while we get some update from Delhi. Rishi Kumar, my colleague, is present in Delhi. Rishi, बहुत खास कुछ बातें निकल के नहीं आई. जो कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी की मीटिंग थी, उन्होंने कहा कि अभी वो जो स्टेट के लीडर्स हैं कांग्रेस के, उनके साथ भी डेलिब्रेशंस करेंगे. क्या अपडेट आप दे सकते हैं, क्योंकि बहुत खास भूमिका होगी कांग्रेस की अगर एनसीपी और कांग्रेस को सपोर्ट करना है शिवसेना को. तो
देखिए, जहाँ तक महाराष्ट्र में सरकार बनाने की अगर हम कवायद को देखें, तो इस पूरी कवायद में शरद पवार ने जो भूमिका निभाई है, अब शरद पवार चाहते हैं कि उस भूमिका में कांग्रेस उनके साथ संयुक्त रूप से खड़ी हुई दिखे. और उसी प्रक्रिया में उन्होंने एनसीपी की तरफ से ये बयान आया है कि पहले कांग्रेस पार्टी ये सुनिश्चित करके ये फैसला करके बताए कि वो सरकार में किस तरीके की भूमिका और उसका पक्ष क्या है, उसके बाद वो संयुक्त रूप से इसका ऐलान करेंगे. इसी संदर्भ में ये जो कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी की जो बैठक बुलाई गई, इसमें सभी बड़े नेताओं ने सोनिया गांधी के नेतृत्व में इस बात का फैसला लिया कि कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी शाम 4 बजे जो महाराष्ट्र के नेता हैं उनके साथ बैठक करके इस बात को तय करेंगे कि उनका पक्ष इस पूरे मसले पर क्या है और वो किस रूप में सरकार में शामिल होना चाहते हैं या स्पीकर पद पर वो आना चाहते हैं. इन सभी स्थितियों का खुलासा शाम 4 को जो बैठक होने वाली है उसके बाद लिया जाएगा. और हम जानते हैं कि महाराष्ट्र से करीब 40 से अधिक जो उनके विधायक हैं, उनकी सहमति का पत्र पहले से ही सोनिया गांधी के पास जा चुका है. यानी कि अब ये अंतिम फैसले में कांग्रेस चाहती है कि महाराष्ट्र यूनिट को शामिल करके ये जो उनका फैसला है उस फैसले पर ये दर्शाया जाए कि इस फैसले को तात्कालिक परिस्थितियां, जो स्थानीय परिस्थितियां हैं, उनके आधार पर कांग्रेस शीर्ष नेतृत्व इस फैसले को लेने जा रहा है। इसी संदर्भ में हम देखते हैं कि शाम 4 बजे ये जो बैठक होगी और इसमें ये फैसला लिया जाएगा कि वो सरकार में किस रूप में शामिल होंगे।
जी, ऋषि, Shishir, do continue to stay with us while we turn to our guests in the studio. Senior journalist Nitin Mahajan, welcome again, sir. And now the ball in the court of Shiv Sena. They've been invited to stake claim to form government. But if NCP and Congress are going to be the likely partners, what do you see as the road ahead for Maharashtra politics and Shiv Sena?
The way the Shiv Sena has acted ever since the victory of Mahayuti, they have been pressing for getting the chief ministerial post. I think that has been done because this is the first time that the Thackeray family has fielded anyone and got him elected. So this is the first time that a Thackeray family member will be in the assembly.
Right.
They want that his beginning should be with a bang. But because of this attitude, they are even willing to put at stake their partnership in the NDA, which continued for almost 30 years.
And you're talking about attitudes, sir. So the statement that we'll get the chief minister's post at any cost, किसी भी कीमत पे chief minister Shiv Sena का ही होना है, Sanjay Raut has said in different words time and again. And what is going to be the impact on their traditional alliance with the BJP also at the centre? We just informed our viewers that the Shiv Sena MP has already resigned. So what is the fate in that manner, the traditional alliance between Shiv Sena and the BJP, the road ahead?
The traditional alliance will break, just like 2014 when both of them fought elections separately during assembly elections. But ahead of 2019 polls, they fought again together in the Lok Sabha polls. But this time also they continued to fight together. So this led to a consolidation of Hindu votes, Hindutva votes or Hindu votes, whatever you say. So this caused them to get a lot of seats, and the shifting of vote, you can see that the outsiders in the state, Maharashtra, they are more in connect with the BJP. The Shiv Sena can be confined to the Maharashtrian vote. The same vote is being vied for by the NCP, by the Congress. The outsider vote is generally taken by the BJP. So the vote transfer from the BJP is more to the Shiv Sena rather than from the Shiv Sena to the BJP.
But beyond the technicalities of vote transfer, sir, the vote of the people was given to the alliance of BJP and Shiv Sena. And at this point in time, if the Shiv Sena decides to choose the parties that they were fighting against, what message does it send out to the people at large? Is this some kind of a disrespect to the mandate that the alliance got together, Mahayuti as it's called?
Yeah, it's definitely sending across a message that they don't respect the mandate. The single largest party is sitting outside. And it was a pre-poll alliance. They fought on a common minimum agenda. And interestingly, the biggest point of that agenda, Ram Temple, got fulfilled this week. And just after 2 or 3 days, they are announcing the going away. This was the single most important point which has kept the Shiv Sena and BJP together over 3 decades. And now they are parting ways.
And let's also find out what are some updates from Mumbai as to how are people there taking this development. Shishir, I'm coming to you. This whole idea that the alliance of BJP and Shiv Sena, they fought the elections together against the opponents, against the opposing alliance of NCP Congress, and now there's a possibility of Shiv Sena forming a government with support of NCP and the Congress. Now the BJP has always maintained, even amidst this tussle, that the vote was for the alliance, and therefore to respect the people's mandate, the alliance must form the government. How is Shiv Sena explaining this switchover, this speculation that has been doing round? I mean, there's no confirmation as yet if NCP and Congress will come on board. But what does Shiv Sena stand on this idea that the vote was for alliance, but now we are breaking it?
Well, absolutely rightly said here that the BJP, one hand, was clearly saying that obviously this is the mandate they've got is for the Mahayuti, and that's the reason it is very wrong that if Shiv Sena goes with the Congress NCP, it will be, they're going against basically the mandate here. And since yesterday also, if you look at the comments from the BJP leaders, they've said that the Mahayuti will come into power and the Chief Minister will be from Mahayuti. They were not saying that will it be from Shiv Sena or will it from BJP here. But obviously, as the BJP already chosen the lead of legislature to Devendra Fadnavis, it was quite clear that Devendra Fadnavis will be their next options here, and that's an important candidate for the Chief Minister from the BJP side. And that's what we can see here, that the Shiv Sena wasn't liking it. Obviously, you rightly asked that what are the points that why they're splitting. The only reason Shiv Sena are giving at this point in time that BJP has not fulfilled their promise. That's the only one thing that BJP is taking forward. They have said that they came into alliance just on the promise that they will get the half share in the power here.
Right.
And obviously they will also get the Chief Minister post that for 2.5 hours. That's what they meant for, and that's the reason Shiv Sena supported for. And with that point, the decision they have taken here. Since we have heard that when the results were announced, just immediately after that few minutes, we've heard Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut said that Maharashtra will see a Chief Minister from Shiv Sena, and that's what we can see exactly. The tussle between both the parties have started here. But obviously, as you rightly said, people perception was actually that both the parties will form a government. In 2014 also, even though both the parties contested differently, separately, people were thinking that they will come together, and that's what happened just few months after BJP swearing ceremony. Shiv Sena have also joined the government. But this time around, even though after the results of what we have seen of Mahayuti in Maharashtra, people thought that BJP had to form the government, but that's what we can say, a betrayal of mandate.
And Shishir, we learnt about this this meeting at an undisclosed location you shared between Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray and NCP Chief Sharad Pawar. Do we have any insight as to what went on in that meeting? What were the issues being deliberated? We know the larger issue, of course, but any specifics?
Absolutely not, because we've tried to get information from the NCP leaders also and from the Shiv Sena leaders also, but we haven't received any information. But what we got to know is that the meeting is now concluded here. Obviously, the larger point of agenda would be that how NCP will join Shiv Sena on what terms and what will be power sharing.
Right.
Those are the most important contentious issues probably both of the leaders must have discussed here. Because what we've heard from the NCP leaders so far right now, most of the NCP leaders, especially Nawab Malik, have said they are quite positive as far as the alliance with the Shiv Sena is concerned, going into the power. But obviously there's some common minimum program that both the parties will work on, and not just NCP, even the Congress, because there is an actual difference between Congress, NCP and Shiv Sena. And
absolutely.
That's the reason
And on that,
going to the meeting,
on that,
let's that it won't be a natural alliance.
Yeah, let's learn something on that, on the ideological idea from Rishi, who's reporting from Delhi, covering the Congress Working Committee meeting. Rishi, अगर ये alliance बनता है शिवसेना का, एनसीपी का और कांग्रेस का, एक तरीके से तीनों पार्टी के लिए एक आइडियोलॉजिकल यू टर्न होगा अगर तीनों पार्टियां साथ में आती हैं। इसका क्या मतलब है महाराष्ट्र के पॉलिटिक्स के लिए? अभी कुछ ही हफ्तों पहले आइडियोलॉजिकल लेवल्स पे वो लड़े इलेक्शंस और उनको जो भी समर्थन मिला जनता से, और अब एक तरह से यू टर्न हो रहा है। तो कांग्रेस के लिए खासकर, क्योंकि आप कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी कवर कर रहे हैं, क्या मायने होंगे जो सर्वाइवल के लिए वो लड़ रहे हैं नेशनल और रीजनल पॉलिटिक्स में? तो क्या मायने होंगे कांग्रेस के लिए अगर वो शिवसेना के साथ जाते हैं?
देखिए, जहाँ तक कांग्रेस की बात करें तो कांग्रेस इस समय उस स्थिति में है कि उसके लिए कुछ भी तय कर पाना एक उस चुनौती से कम नहीं है कि अगर वो इसके पक्ष में जाते हैं तो उनके लिए समस्या है और विपक्ष में जाते हैं तो समस्या है। एक तरफ कांग्रेस को ये तय करना है कि एनसीपी ने अब तक जो भूमिका निभाई है, कांग्रेस के साथ वो मिलकर चुनाव लड़ते रहे हैं, मिलकर सरकारें बनाती रही हैं। अब एनसीपी जबकि शिवसेना के साथ उनकी जो नज़दीकियाँ बढ़ी और उसके बाद जो परिस्थितियाँ उत्पन्न हुई, उसके बाद करीब करीब ये कहा जा सकता है कि इस पूरी कवायद में जो एनसीपी के जो नेता हैं शरद पवार, उनकी जो भूमिका है, उसी भूमिका का ये परिणाम है कि आज महाराष्ट्र में एक अलग तरीके की सरकार और कवायद देखी जा रही है। ऐसे में अब कांग्रेस भी यही देख रही है कि इस पूरे घटनाक्रम में वो ये चाहती है कि एक पैसेज ऐसा बना के रखा जाए। इसी वजह से ये 4 बजे अगर ये फैसला लेने जा रहे हैं अपनी स्टेट यूनिट के साथ संपर्क करने के बाद, तो वो स्टेट यूनिट को एक तवज्जो देने के लिए ये खास बात यही है कि वो राजनीति में कहा जाता है कि परिस्थिति जन्य घटनाओं की वजह से हमने ये फैसला लिया कि स्टेट पॉलिटिक्स में जो घटनाक्रम बना उसकी वजह से ये फैसला लेना पड़ा। और ये चाहते हैं कांग्रेस की उसी पर सारा मंथन करके और उनके डिसीजन को अपना डिसीजन मानते हुए कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी इस फैसले को लेने जा रही है। और शुभेंदु, मेरे जो अभी तक जो सूत्र बता रहे हैं, ये फैसला करीब करीब ले लिया गया है कि इस गठबंधन की सरकार को कांग्रेस समर्थन देने जा रही है। इसकी आधिकारिक घोषणा होना बाकी है, लेकिन ये जो सूत्र बताते हैं और जो पूरी कवायद अब तक है, कांग्रेस की तरफ से सहमति है और तभी शिवसेना की तरफ से वहाँ पर जो एनडीए के साथ जो गठबंधन में जो नेता थे, जो मंत्री थे, उन्होंने इस्तीफा दिया है। अब करीब करीब स्थितियां स्पष्ट हैं और 4 बजे कांग्रेस जो स्टेट
4 बजे ऑफिशियल अनाउंसमेंट कांग्रेस की तरफ से आशा है आने की,
उस आधार पर।
जी नितिन जी, आई विल कम टू यू फॉर फाइनल कमेंट्स। देयर सीम्स टू बी द रोड सीम्स टू बी क्लियरिंग अप फॉर शिवसेना, एनसीपी एंड द कांग्रेस टू कम टुगेदर. If the parties do come together and the government is formed, what happens to issues of ideology, leadership, chief minister face, and more importantly, stability of a government like that?
I think this all this coming together of ideologically parallel
opposing
ideologically opposing parties is quite evident that the ideology is not in the game plan. Everyone is trying to just grab power. So I think the chief ministerial position will be very important because the Congress and NCP, I don't think they are agreeing to the name of Aditya Thackeray for chief minister. They might be proposing a name of maybe Uddhav Thackeray or someone senior because he's too junior. He's the first time MLA and he is not even too old in the political game as you speak.
Right.
So plus next year there's a Mumbai municipal election also. It's the biggest municipality, the richest municipality in the country. It will be also important how that pans out.
Right.
We have to see how these parties put their differences on major issues, from Ram Temple to infrastructure projects to RA forest. Everything.
Right. So the clarities, I think, will come.
It has to be. It will take some time, but let's see how it pans out.
Let's see how political developments take place. It is likely that by 7:30 this evening, there'll be clarity on the suspense over who will form the government and what will it look like in Maharashtra. On that note, Nitin Mahajanji, thank you very much for joining us in the studio. Thank you also to Rishi and Shishir for joining us from Delhi and Mumbai and giving us all the inputs. And we're heading for a short break in Midday Prime. Lots more coming up. Do stay with us.
लगता है हाउस वार्मिंग में सबको इम्प्रेस करके छोड़ोगी।
तुम अपने काम पे ध्यान दो।
जी मैडम। एक बार आके देख लो, कहीं मैंने कोई गड़बड़ तो नहीं कर दी।
सिर्फ मेरा नाम क्यों?
अरे जिसने घर खरीदा है उसी का नाम होना चाहिए ना।
और फ्रेंड्स क्या कहेंगे?
फ्रेंड्स कहेंगे कि काश अपनी बीवी भी ऐसी होती।
पिछले 100 सालों से ऐसी हर अच्छी शुरुआत का साथ दे रहे हैं हम और हमारी न्यू एज बैंकिंग सर्विसेज यूनियन बैंक ऑफ इंडिया।
Welcome back. You're watching Midday Prime. Some news from West Bengal. The situation in cyclone Bulbul hit areas is limping back to normalcy slowly. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee made an aerial survey over South 24 Parganas to assess the damage caused by the cyclone. The cyclone has also wreaked havoc in Odisha. Nearly 16 lakh electricity consumers were affected due to cyclone in 6 affected districts of the state. The power supply has since been restored to 15 lakh consumers. Relief and rescue operation is still underway. Cyclone Bulbul has claimed at least 7 lives and affected over 2.5 lakh families in different parts of West Bengal. And President Ram Nath Kovind has expressed his condolences to the victims of Cyclone Bulbul. Severe cyclonic storm is triggering heavy rains in parts of Odisha and West Bengal.
I express my deepest condolences for the loss of life caused by Cyclone Bulbul. My thoughts and prayers are with those affected.
There's been significant devastation caused by Cyclone Bulbul. We'll be getting updates from the regions where this devastation has happened. West Bengal is slowly limping back to normalcy as the storm really has crossed West Bengal. But in the meanwhile, the Cyclone Bulbul also caused destruction in Orissa. We are joining our colleague Rizwana from Bhubaneswar, who has more updates. Rizwana, just give us the kind of damage that the cyclone has caused in Orissa. Reporting from Bhubaneswar, in the coastal areas in particular, what kind of an impact did the cyclone have?
Well, Shubhendu, what happened is that the Bulbul did not affect or impact Orissa directly, but its indirect effect was felt in 6 of the districts, some coastal and not coastal, that is Bhadrak, Balashore, Mayurbhanj, Kendrapada and Jagatsinghpur. Because authorities had taken precautionary measures, they had evacuated about over 8,000 people from these areas, low-lying areas. So loss of life has been minimal. Only 2 have been reported so far. And the SRC office is saying that we are investigating that because we don't know if it is directly due to storm itself. But people are really going back to the houses because even about 5,500 houses were damaged.
Yes.
But the SRC office says that it has been partially damaged and people are now going back to their houses.
And what kind of relief efforts are being taken place from the administration side, Rizwana? We are watching these visuals of uprooted trees, damaged roofs and houses. If you could tell us something more on that.
Well, there were a lot of more than 20 NDRF and ODRAF teams were pressed into service. Most of the roads are now clear, and electricity and supply has been restored to about 90%. So 16 lakh consumers were affected. 15 lakhs the power supply has been given. Some pipe water supply has still been disrupted, but government is doing what district administration has given generator sets and mobile water tanks to tide over the crisis. In a day or two, the situation is that ground reality is that in a day or two, everything will become quite normal.
Okay.
But the major damage is to standing paddy crop and vegetable crop. About 3 lakh hectares have been damaged. Other authorities of Agriculture and Revenue Department are undertaking a field survey to assess the extent of damage. Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik is around at the same time we are talking, is undertaking an aerial survey. After that, he will be discussing with the ground officials. They have been asked to give the reports within 5 days. The state government is going to compile the report, give compensatory claims as per revenue code wherever possible, and then send a report to the center.
All right, Rizwana, thank you very much for joining us with those inputs from Bhubaneswar. And to get more updates on Cyclone Bulbul's impact, my colleague Anibrato, who's joining us from East Midnapur, West Bengal. Anibrato, we know that large-scale displacement of population took place. Some 2.5 lakh people had to be moved to safer locations. How is the relief work coming along in the aftermath of Cyclone Bulbul? Anibrato.
Shubhendu, weather condition has largely improved and cyclone ravaged areas all along the coastal belts of Bengal gradually limping back to normalcy. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee today made an aerial survey over South 24 Pargana district, because this district was largely affected, and at present she is now holding an administrative meeting at Kakdeep. And it is believed that today the state government will declare the compensation package because state government earlier said that all affected people will be properly compensated. And while this super cyclone Bulbul barreled through the coastal belts of Bengal, and it had a catastrophic effect on the cropping fields particularly.
Yes.
So the agricultural department is assessing the extent of damage, and meanwhile Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee had talked with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah. They promised all help, and so it's to be seen what compensation is declared today. And as the situation is gradually limping back to normalcy, it is said that all falling trees have been removed, and normal trafficking in the road, and electric lines that were snapped being restored, and almost 3 lakh people all along the coastal line.
Right,
people were evacuated, and their thatched houses and the kacha houses
were
moved to the ground.
Right, Anibratu, you mentioned that the cyclone has
multi-purpose. Yes.
Anibratu, you mentioned that the cyclone has weakened as it crossed West Bengal. What does the local Met Department say is the impact, the threat finally over the storm, the heavy rains that the cyclone brought with it? Is it only going to go down from here, and therefore the recovery could really begin now?
Yes, Met Department has meanwhile withdrawn all the restrictions that it had imposed.
Okay.
Because orange alert was declared earlier, it had been withdrawn, but the stationary cautionary alert is there for the fishermen. They have been asked not to venture into the sea till today. Yet we found several fishermen early in the morning, they went to the sea, although they came back safely. But the thing is that the tendency is growing to disobey any such alert being imposed, because while they are found they are returning back from sea safely, they are again trying to venture into the sea. That is the thing. Otherwise, the situation is largely improved now, and weather condition has improved,
right.
And everything right at this point of time here, limping back to normal.
All right, there, Anibratu, thanks very much for joining us with those updates from West Bengal, from East Midnapur. So situation in West Bengal slowly limping back to normalcy. But we also know that the cyclone Bulbul also had an impact on Bangladesh, on neighboring Bangladesh, along with West Bengal. My colleague Rajesh Jha is joining us from Dhaka with more updates. Rajesh, what details can you share with us about the kind of impact that cyclone Bulbul had on in Bangladesh? We learnt about some casualties that took place there. Give us the details, please.
Well, the official death toll is now at 8, although the figures are coming out from various places and the figure is likely to go up.
Okay.
But there is a good thing that it is said that when the cyclone moved over from India towards Bangladesh, the mangroves of Sundarban were able to absorb a lot of the impact of the cyclone. It was actually able to reduce the speed of the winds, and that saved a lot of destruction in Bangladesh. Even then, the coastal areas have suffered a lot of
Right, Rajesh, there. Thank you very much for joining us with those inputs. There was a little technical difficulty in hearing Rajesh's voice, but he was giving updates about the casualties that has taken place in Bangladesh. Large-scale destruction along with parts of India and Odisha and West Bengal. Bangladesh has also been on the receiving end of a cyclone Bulbul. Moving ahead in Midday Prime, we're heading for a short break. Lots more coming up. Do stay with us.
लगता है हाउस वार्मिंग में सबको इम्प्रेस करके छोड़ोगी।
तुम अपने काम पे ध्यान दो।
जी मैडम। एक बार आके देख लो, कहीं मैंने कोई गड़बड़ तो नहीं कर दी।
सिर्फ मेरा नाम क्यों?
अरे जिसने घर खरीदा है उसी का नाम होना चाहिए ना।
और फ्रेंड्स क्या कहेंगे?
फ्रेंड्स कहेंगे कि काश अपनी बीवी भी ऐसी होती।
पिछले 100 सालों से ऐसी हर अच्छी शुरुआत का साथ दे रहे हैं हम और हमारी न्यू एज बैंकिंग सर्विसेज यूनियन बैंक ऑफ इंडिया।
Welcome back. You're watching Midday Prime. Some news from Jammu and Kashmir. 2 terrorists were gunned down during an encounter between security forces and the terrorists in Bandipora. In Jammu and Kashmir, arms and ammunition have been recovered from the slain terrorists. Identity and affiliation is also being ascertained at the moment. The railway authorities are taking steps to facilitate resumption of train services in Jammu and Kashmir. Our correspondent Rama Tyagi tells us more on that.
The restoration of train services in the valley have been started from today. Observations are on, and today under the leadership of DRM, a group of senior officials has visited some places through this mini Nirikshan Yan, and according to them they are seeing that what are the security situation, what is the security scenario, what is the situation of tracks and signal process and over bridges also, and safety and security is the main concern of the railway.
कोई भी सिस्टम जो 3 महीने से ज़्यादा हो गया है और अभी ऑपरेटिव नहीं है, उसको दोबारा से शुरू करने के लिए सभी ट्रैक सिस्टम, सिग्नलिंग सिस्टम, जितने भी स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं उन सबको एक बार देखना पड़ेगा और जिस समय हमारे को देखने लायक सुविधा मिल जाएगी तो उसको एग्जामिन करने के बाद ही हम फिर तिथि के बारे में बता पाएंगे.
If we talk about this track, this is a 50-kilometer long track, and on this track 12 to 13 railway stations are there, and this is a very beautiful track. When people go from there, not only this is a comfortable route, but the sightseeing is an extra bonanza for them. And again, we are hopeful that it will start very soon, and observations are underway. With camera person Pramod Negi, Ramatyagi, DD News, Badgaon.
Moving on, President Ramnath Kovind today attended the annual convocation of Vishwa Bharati University, founded by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore in Kolkata. Addressing the function, President termed his visit as a pilgrimage because of the two greatest visionaries of modern India, Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi, frequently met here.
It is indeed my privilege to be here at Shanti Niketan. This is one of those blessed sites that reimagined our civilizational values that define India. This is the place that infused new energy in our national life. Thus, I come here not only as the visitor or Paridarsak, but equally as a humble pilgrim and a seeker for the answers to our eternal quest for wisdom.
And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today said that education is not only for employment alone, but for enhancement of knowledge as well. Addressing the gathering at the third convocation of Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi, Vice President said that our institution of higher education should focus more sharply on research. He added that JNU and all other institutions should work hard to become top institutions of the world.
Education is not for employment alone. Education is for enhancement of knowledge. Education is for empowerment. Education is for enlightenment. In Indian civilization, emphasis was always on a holistic, integrated vision of education.
And Union HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal also attended the convocation. He said that India has much to offer as it can play a leadership role in providing new ideas and research.
ये देश वो देश है जिसके पास बहुत कुछ है। पीछे से यदि हम देखेंगे तो उसके नवाचार के साथ अनुसंधान करने की जरूरत है। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, वर्तमान प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक नया नारा दिया, क्योंकि जब ये देश सीमाओं पर जूझ रहा था और खाद्यान्न के संकट को झेल रहा था, तब हमारे लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी ने जय जवान जय किसान का नारा दिया था और देश खड़ा हो गया था। समस्या का समाधान एक झटके में हुआ था।
Two startup companies were today awarded grants of ₹1 crore 50 lakh each by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh under the Defence India Startup Challenge started by Innovation in Defence Excellence or IDEX. The program aims to fund, incubate startups to co-develop indigenous technologies. This is the third Defence India Startup Challenge, and 44 startup applications have already been approved in the past 2 years by IDEX under Department of Defence Production. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh launched the web portal Logo Compendium of IDEX today in Delhi.
और आईडेक्स ने अपनी इस 1 से 1.5 साल की यात्रा के दौरान स्टार्टअप एंटरप्रेन्योर को एक साथ जोड़ने का काम किया है और मुझे यह देखकर बेहद खुशी होती है कि कैसे युवा एंटरप्रेन्योर्स उन समस्याओं को दूर कर रहे हैं जिनका सामना हमारे आर्म्ड फोर्सेस द्वारा किया जाता है तथा उन समस्याओं से निपटने के लिए नए नए चुनौतीपूर्ण व उपाय भी लेकर सामने आ रहे हैं।
INB Secretary Amit Khare today attended the seminar on regulation of online content, film certification and ease of doing business in Chennai. Addressing the seminar, he pointed out that the industry is an important part of the service sector, growing at a rate of 11.4% and creating jobs despite talk of slowdown. He said that the Indian film industry has emerged as a very popular sector even abroad.
Film, media, entertainment, that is emerging as a very important service sector in the economy. The average growth rate of this sector is around 11.4%. This sector is also very important because it is a job creating sector. More than 1.6 million, 16 lakh people are directly employed. Indian films are very popular in China. Similarly, in other countries also, in the past also, in Russia and other places, Korea, they have shown a lot of interest in our serial Ramayana, which was made by Doordarshan about 2 decades ago. Russia is very keen about Indian films. The entire Middle East is entertained through the Indian films.
Today is National Education Day. The day is observed to commemorate the birth anniversary of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, who served as the first Minister of Education of independent India. Bharat Ratna awardee Maulana Azad was a renowned scholar and a senior political leader of the Indian independence movement. He was born in Makkah, Saudi Arabia in 1888. Leaders cutting across party lines paid floral tribute to Maulana Azad at Central Hall of Parliament. Former Chief Election Commissioner T.N. Session passed away yesterday in Chennai. He was 86 years old. Session is remembered for playing a key role in reforms in the poll body. He was instrumental, in fact, in implementing the Model Code of Conduct as we understand it today. More on his life journey.
Tirunellai Narayana Iyer Session was born in December 1932 in Kerala's Palakkad district, then part of the British Madras Presidency. A 1955 batch IS officer of Tamil Nadu cadre, Session rose to become the Cabinet Secretary. He was appointed the 10th CEC on December 12, 1990 and held the post till December 1996. Session is widely credited for introducing electoral reforms that changed the face of Indian elections. One of them was the implementation of the Model Code of Conduct, a set of guidelines that are meant to regulate political parties and candidates prior to elections. Other reforms related to the content of campaign speeches and election manifestos and the general conduct of political parties and leaders so that free and fair elections can be held. In 1996, Session received the Raymond Magsaysay Award for his services as the Chief Election Commissioner. He also served as member of the Planning Commission of India and stood for election to the post of the President in 1997 but lost to K.R. Narayanan. Bureau Report, DD News.
Iconic reformer T.N. Session, no more. We'll, for now, return again to the story from Jammu and Kashmir, where we were talking about resumption of train services in Jammu and Kashmir. Rama, my colleague, is in fact joining us with more updates from Srinagar. Rama, a short while ago, we saw the report on the resumption of train services in Srinagar. We saw the stunning visuals of trains cutting through the snow-laden peaks. Give us more updates about how significant and transformative would the resumption of services be for the valley?
Yeah, it's a very important news for the people of Valley as they are waiting 3 months for the moment because comparatively it's a safer journey, it's a smoother journey and train fares are very low and according to authorities they are resuming it from tomorrow and the time batch will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and it will be from Srinagar to Baramulla in first step. And after that, they are reviewing the situation also because security is the main concern for the authorities. So after reviewing the situation, they will open up the other tracks also.
Right. Rama, also we know connectivity infrastructure has been a challenge vis-a-vis Kashmir and Srinagar. But when we see these visuals of trains cutting through the snow in that manner, how will it change the life of the common people? They'll have 24/7 connectivity with the rest of the country.
See, connectivity is the lifeline of any
Certainly.
place. And if we talk about this train services and this rail track, always rail track is smoother and less time consuming if the track is okay. And if we talk about Jammu and Kashmir, then traffic jam is a big problem on roads. So if they commute by train, so less time will be there, they will go on time, and they have to spend less money for that. And it's a comfortable journey also. And the sightseeing is very beautiful if people go by train. So it will enhance the tourism also. So it is very important and big news for the valley as well as the other part of the country.
Right, Rama, thanks very much for joining us with those inputs from Srinagar. My colleague Rama Tyagi giving us update about the manner in which the administration is working towards resumption of train services. She spoke about various implications. It is going to be transformative for the people of the region, better connectivity. But another important aspect that she mentioned was vis-a-vis tourism. The manner in which tourists will be able to access the beautiful valley, Kashmir and other parts of Jammu and Kashmir through the train service. And we saw the stunning visuals, of course, of train cutting through the snow. Really, those visuals, we don't see such visuals from any other part of the country, really. So important development step being taken by the administration in Jammu and Kashmir.